So without much further ado, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Balu. Dr. Balu.
Great, thanks very much. It's time for the Panacea Challenge 2021. I'm going to spend a few minutes and then turn it over to my fellow volunteer, Kavya Shivashankar, who is the real person behind this project. So last year, when things got very crazy with COVID, we had to suddenly postpone and cancel our regional contests. And everybody was at home, and a lot of them were in remote school and were not really given the opportunity to use their minds creatively. So we decided to start the Panacea Challenge. And the goal was for people to use either artwork or essay or a video that spoke about a public health issue and which helped to propose a solution. And we not only said, we not only didn't stop families from coming together to work on this together, we actually encouraged it. And so we saw some amazing activities, and it happened even in my house, right? So the kids learned how to make video, they learned how to put captions, they studied a whole bunch of numbers from around the world and which countries did well versus which countries didn't, and what were some of the ingredients behind it. And so they learned quite a bit, and we learned a lot as a family as we were trying to process everything that was crazy that was happening in the world. We were able to use our brains and come up with a product that we could be proud of around that conversation and around that kind of learning. You got a couple of examples here in the next slide of some of the artwork that was done here by some young children, really incredibly talented, that we got to see. And then on the next one, so there's a giant mask in a city. And then here's the next one, there's an essay. And we even did some cool things where we were able to put these up on social media, and the general public was able to vote. So one of our kids had a video that talked about the importance of wearing a mask. This young man was very young. He was in grade school. And the week of Thanksgiving, the governor of Massachusetts retweeted that video. And so, we really saw some amazing things and got some amazing exposure as a consequence of the creative energy and knowledge of our children. So it went so well, we're going to do it again with a different topic. And I'll turn it over to Kavya and the rest of the team.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, some of the examples on the slides aren't showing up for some reason, but hopefully you were able to see some of the artwork. But hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see everyone's interest in the challenge again this year. The team, everyone on the team is excited to see all of your submissions. And so we can talk about some contest details and some of the FAQs before we open it up to questions. These slides may already be familiar to some of you, but I want to run through them once again as it might clear up any questions that come up. So first, let's break it down with the levels and the categories. So last year we just had juniors and seniors, so this looks a little bit different this year. So now we expanded the competition to also include high school students. So the way we've broken it down, kindergartners through 5th graders, you'll be in the elementary school category. 6th, 7th, 8th graders, you'll be in the middle school category, and 9th through 12th graders, you will be in the high school category. And to clarify, this is going to be the grade that you were in as of January 1st, 2021. And the categories for submission this year are essay and multimedia. So also this looks a little bit different than last year. And the way we did it is essay, it's self-explanatory. This is going to be a written submission. Multimedia, on the other hand, is going to be a submission with 2 components. So you'll submit a video portion and a poster. And this poster can serve as supporting material, really. So it can be a little bit fluid. So you can either draw or paint something. You can create a poster on Word or PowerPoint, something online. So however you choose to do it. We'll discuss this a little more later. There's no really specific criteria of what needs to be in the video versus the poster. But as long as both of the portions together, first that you have both the portions and that both of them together address the prompt, that really covers it. So now if you're an elementary school kid, listen closely. The slide is for you. So your prompt, if you're an elementary school student, is to describe a novel invention that you want to see made in 2021. So whether you choose to submit an essay or a multimedia, this is what we want you to talk about. And really just let your imagination run wild. We're not going to nitpick on how realistic this invention is, but we want you to think about what you can create to make the community a better place. So just brainstorm an invention, talk about how the invention can be used, and make sure to discuss how this benefits individuals or the community. And here's a couple of examples. So maybe you thought of an invention, maybe you create this antiviral spray that you can spray on all these surfaces. It protects you from spreading a virus like COVID-19. Or maybe your invention is an app, and you can talk about how this app can be used by everyone in a community to coordinate food donation, and that can be your solution to tackling food insecurity in the community. So really just, again, you can let your imagination run wild. It can be a stretch. We just want to see your creative juices flowing, and we just want to see that you've thought about how to make the community a better place. So now middle schoolers and high schoolers, this information is for you. Your prompt is to discuss a novel project or product that would benefit the community. So again, this is a very broad prompt, and you can tackle it in any way that you would like. However, keep in mind that we want you to tie it to the theme of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you're not as familiar with what DEI stands for, I definitely encourage you to look it up online. There's a lot of TED Talks, a lot of articles that are written talking about the importance of promoting DEI, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'll share some example topics in a minute, but I want to emphasize first what the crux of your project should include. So while you can discuss, again, any project or any product, sorry, just a reminder to everyone to keep on mute if you can, just for the rest of the slides. So what we want you to focus on again is A, how the project or product will improve the community it serves, and B, we want you to show that you've researched the issue that you're tackling. So with background research, articles, literature, just use a little bit of supporting information just to show that you've really thought about kind of the problem that your project or product is addressing. And we have quite a few examples for you. So for example, if you're interested in public health, maybe you want to create a project or product that addresses mental health among adolescents or improving healthcare access for underserved communities. This can be a project that serves or spans for 1 month or 1 year, whatever you want it to be. Or it could, again, be a product like an app or an invention that will tackle the problem if you use that app or invention. And then again, if you're interested in focusing on gender equity, you can talk about a solution that addresses the gender pay gap or increasing diversity in the school or workplace. Some other examples, tackling online learning education disparities during COVID, maybe some community approach to preventing homelessness, food insecurity, health outcomes. And then another topic idea is something to bridge communication gaps within the community or amongst different generations of individuals. So for example, maybe you want to do something that addresses communication gaps, and this can be something that addresses mental health among adolescents. So these are just some topics, some food for thought. So feel free to use one of these or brainstorm a new idea in an area that you personally feel passionate about addressing. So this is kind of the contest details, and we'll move on to a couple of some of the basic FAQs. So a common question is, can I participate in more than one category? Unfortunately, the answer is no. So no matter what age group you're in, you have to really pick whether you want to do essay or multimedia and just submit, you give one submission. Can I work with other students? Absolutely. We want you to work together and collaborate, brainstorm ideas with your friends, siblings, whatever it is. We just ask that maximum group size is 3. So students, you can work with 2 other people. You can work alone in a group of 2 or a group of 3. Those are your options. And if you, for example, if a 4th grader, you decide to work with someone who's in 7th grade, that brings you up into the middle school category, because if students are within different age categories, you have to submit in the age category of the eldest child in the group. Can my family help me with my submission? Absolutely. We would love for this to be a family-driven effort, as you saw the picture in the beginning from Dr. Balu's family. But the core of the work must be completed by the student. And remember, students, credit your work. Of course, you're welcome to get help. That's, you know, the best kind of project, but just make sure you credit your parents or whoever is helping you for the work that they've done. So how long should my essay be? Elementary school kids, your essay should be between 200 to 400 words. Middle and high schoolers, we ask that you write about 400 to 700 words and submit your essay Times New Roman font, 12 size, double spaced. That just makes it easier for all of the graders.
Excuse me?
Hi, yes. We will open up to questions in just a few more slides. Is that all right?
Well, I was just wondering if the slides will be shared or.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We can share the slides after.
Okay, thank you.
And how long should my video be? So elementary school kids, video length maximum 3 minutes. Middle and high schoolers, maximum 4 minutes. And we ask that you submit it in an MP4 MOV format. Can I use music in my multimedia submission? Yes, if you're using commercial music, just make sure you're not violating any copyrights. So original music creations are encouraged for that reason. What criteria will the essays be judged on? So we're not going to share the detailed grading rubric, but we are giving you the categories of what we grade on, just similar to last year. And again, these criteria are very similar to last year. So 1, if you're writing an essay, make sure spelling, grammar, and sentence structure, make sure you edit because we'll be looking at that. Number 2, the vocabulary that you use. 3, is your essay organized? 4, we're looking at the scope. So kind of the breadth of your topic as well as kind of how in depth you go. 5, just the quality of the presentation. Is it well thought out? Do you have a good topic? That kind of thing. Number 6, your delivery or your voice. So in an essay, you know, your writing can come across, we can tell how passionate you are, how persuasive you are. So that delivery is what we're looking at. 7, out of the box thinking, novelty of ideas. So again, the focus of this challenge, one of them is just to really be creative. So we're looking at that as well. And 8, just this one's kind of easy. Just make sure you're following the theme and the word count that we have provided. So as long as you fall in line with those 2, those are easy points. So now the criteria for multimedia submissions, similar to the essay, but it incorporates a few more things for the video. 1, we'll look at the production quality of the video. How clear is the sound? How clear is the video? 2, just kind of different creative elements. So within the video and the poster, how creative designs, props, that kind of thing. Number 3, again, for your poster, we'll definitely, and for, you know, your spoken lines in the video, vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structure. Number 4, how organized is your submission? 5, the quality of presentation again. 6, delivery of voice. So this can be, you know, the voice that you use when speaking in the video, the voice that comes through in your poster. 7, again, the creativity aspect. So out of the box thinking, novelty of ideas. And then 8, again, your easy points. If you fall within the video length criteria and you stick to the theme and you include your poster, that's kind of your easy points for that category. How should I submit the poster or graphic for the multimedia submission? So whether it's written or whether it's on computer, we ask that you submit it as a 1-page PDF so you can, you know, take picture of your drawn submission and submit as PDF, or whatever you create online can be in a PDF format when you submit it. Can I submit on a topic that does not address the prompt? No. We have worked really hard and tried to think of a prompt that is relevant to the times, and we want to get your creative juices flowing and thinking about solution to world problems. So we really do ask that you stick to the prompt. Submissions that do not address the prompts will not be considered. So now that was kind of a lot of the common frequently asked questions. Hopefully I answered some of your questions, but otherwise we will open it up for you all to ask questions.
Okay, thank you, Balu and Kavya. So before we go to the Q&A sessions, I just want to quickly show you on the website where you can actually get that information. So I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me for a second while I open up my screen share. Okay, so if you go to the northsouth.org site, the Panacea challenge is right here at the bottom of this quick links page, and also it is also available in the upcoming events location. All right, so we have direct links from here. Now, once you click on the Panacea challenge, it opens up the actual Panacea challenge website, and it gives you the high-level overview of what the registration deadline is, submission deadline is, and registration fee. Okay, a quick word about the registration deadline and the submission deadline, right? So anyone who's actually interested in actually making any submission, you must register by the June 28th deadline, okay? So after which we will be unable to accept any more new registrations. So once you register only, you will be able to submit your work, okay? But you do have an additional week for providing all your submissions, and that will be till the July 5th. So it will be after the long weekend. So you can take advantage of the long weekend also, okay? So hopefully that is clear on what the difference between registration deadline and the submission deadline is. And of course, the registration fees is $35, right? So there's also a brief of whatever the competition is about, just like what Kavya outlined. So that information is here. Now, if I can point you to the additional information on the side here, there are two different categories that you have. The one is essay and the paper, and as well as a video poster. So on top of that, you have the general info. So the general info gives you a high-level overview of each of the levels that we have, the essay, and as well as the multimedia. Okay. Now, and also the TED Talk information that Kavya was referring to, that link is also here in this particular location. Okay. Now, couple of additional information. So if you click on this topics, so for example, if you click on this, click for details, that actually opens up the details of what the information that is required for the elementary kids are. Similarly, what is for the middle school, what the topic would be. If you click on the click for details, you would get that information. Okay. All right. So if you go down to scroll down a little bit down further, if you have any questions or if you require any support, you can always email us at panaceachallenge@northsouth.org, and we will respond to you. All right. Now, moving on to a couple more things here. One is I was also mentioning here the essay paper. It talks about high level what the rules of the challenge is for the essay paper for each of the different categories, the number of words that you need to do for each of the different grades, and some of the examples that Kavya was talking about is also highlighted here. Okay, and how we would also be how would your essay be judged? That information is here, and also how the winners and rank holders will be identified what's the criteria for that, and also any tiebreaker rules. Okay, so similarly for the video and poster, we do have that information also posted here, and you can also go back to general information from here. And then the last part that I want to point out is the FAQ section. So you do have the FAQ for the commonly asked questions that Kavya went over. So you should be able to get your answers for some of the commonly asked questions. And I do want to point out that there is an archive section here for the Panacea 2020. So feel free to review that at your own pace. This is the one that Dr. Balu was referring to in his opening remarks about the how the challenge came about.
I can be in here, right?
If you can put yourself on mute for a second, I think I'm pretty much done here. Okay, so those are the archives from the last year's Panacea challenge that we have. Okay, that's pretty much what we had to cover at this point in time, and I would like to open up for any other additional questions. I know some of you have been posting your questions on the chat here, but if you have additional questions, feel free to open up your line, and then we'll try to see if we can answer one by one. Okay, feel free to unmute yourself, and then ask a question if you have any additional questions.
Can you share the slides now?
Yeah, we will be sharing the slides. We'll be emailing the slides to you. In fact, we'll also be posting the slides video on site. We will send a link to you, to all who have registered. Okay. So I see there are some questions on how do you register. So for registration, what you need to do is you would actually go in as a normal parent into the US login. And once you go there, you would actually then go in as a parent. And if you go to the, all right, let's see. Second, don't have it. Okay, if you see right here, the very first, the special event, if you see that the special register for the special event, that is how you would actually go to register. Okay, and this should be available for anyone who's got a link. Sorry, they have created an ID for themselves. Okay. Any other questions?
I'm seeing a few questions on how to do the video. So I just want to clarify, you can be creative with the video. So this can be, maybe you make up a storyline and you act it out. You can do a skit. You can make it like an advertisement, for example, if you're brainstorming a product. You could do, if you like public speaking, maybe your video can just be you kind of giving that speech about your topic. Really just be creative, and you can always tag your references either at the end of your video, you can include it in your poster, however you would like. And then someone asked, is there an option to just do a poster? Unfortunately, no. We've grouped the poster and video components together. Otherwise, you can write the essay.
Okay. Any other questions? Arish, do you have a question? I see you have your hand raised.
Oh, sorry, that was from before.
Okay, no problem.
How do you submit?
Okay, so once you register, and if you go in, and then if you click on view status, you would actually go through this, the submission is part of that particular option here. Okay, so right now I'm not registered, so I don't see that here. But however, once you're registered, you will be able to click on view status for the special event, and then one of the options will be for submitting it. Okay. And the key part is, like I mentioned before, you want to make sure that you are registered by the June 28th, in order to be able to make your submission by the July 5th maximum. Okay.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
For video challenge, are the topics limited to what is being provided under example, or can this be any topic?
It can be any topic that fits within the prompt and the theme. So the examples that we gave are just to give everyone an idea. You're welcome to pick one of those, but we definitely encourage, picking your own topic, anything that you're passionate about. But again, as long as for juniors, it's an invention you want to see made in 2021. For middle schoolers and high schoolers, that would be a project or product that would benefit the community within the theme of diversity, inclusion.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
For juniors, does our our invention need to involve like diversity, DEI, and all that stuff?
We definitely welcome it too, but we didn't want to limit the elementary school kids too much. So we asked that your invention focuses on community improvement. You're welcome to focus on diversity, equity, inclusion. You're not necessarily limited to that.
All right, thank you.
So when you say theme, may I know what is the theme for middle schoolers?
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
Sorry, I'm not sure I understood your question. Do you mind asking it again?
Yeah, sure. When you say theme, may I know what is the theme for middle schoolers?
Oh, the theme for the middle schoolers and high schoolers is the same. So the theme is diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Got it. Thank you.
And one more quick point regarding the video, because that's one of the common questions that we typically get. Submit your videos in
I know, I'm not listening to you.
But like,
okay.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right. If there are no other questions, we can conclude this presentation. Is there any other questions? Any other last minute questions coming up? Okay, Yashu, do you have a question? I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, a quick question, right? Do we have something like semifinals, and the kids get selected for the semifinals, and then they have the finals? Like, how does this whole thing work, right? So every challenge is different. So, I'm just curious about this.
Sure. Okay. So that's a good question. And we do have that. Let me have it out here. So we do have register. Sorry, the semifinalists will be announced by the end of July timeframe, and after that, the finalists will be announced by the August timeframe, the August 13th timeframe. Okay. Now, there is also, once the semifinalists are announced by the end of July, we will also have a session for the fan favorites, we would like to call that, okay, where your friends and family can actually vote for your piece. Okay, so that's another category for which we would have. We do have a category for that one too.
Oh, great. Thank you. That answers the question. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? And Kavya, I think there's a question on the rubric. Will the scoring rubric be shared?
Yes, so as mentioned, the detailed rubric will not be shared, but we have shared the kind of both essay and multimedia will be scored according to 8 kind of larger categories. So I walked through those 8 categories for both, and the website will also have that information, and we're sharing the slides as well. So you'll see the main points that both categories are scored on.
And let me point out to that categories right here on the website here. So if you see in this video and poster, for example, the registration details are also mentioned here, and the additional details are also available here in the click for details. Okay. So there was a question on the semi-finalists, so that is actually mentioned here, right here, judging awards that are on schedule. So if you see here, the semi-finalists by end of July, then the finalists, the grand champions, and then the fan favorite voting period. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Right, so I see there's a question on the chat. Okay, I think Savita has answered that. So the question was, what is the age group? How is the age group actually be determined? And that's based on the grades as of Jan 2021. Okay. Okay, that's a good question. So can graduated high school senior participate? And like I mentioned before, it's the grades are based on the your grade as of Jan 2021.
Isn't June 28th a bit early for the registration, considering that today is June 6th?
There are other programs that are going on, so that's why the June 28th comes up. In fact, the registration has been open for more than a couple of weeks now already, by the way.
And also to clarify, the submissions, you have to submit by July 5th, but just for judging purposes, we want everyone who plans to submit to be registered by June 28th.
Who will judge?
So we do have a panel of judges who will be doing that. So they're all part of North-South Foundation.
Siblings can submit individual entries. You're also welcome to team up. There's no requirement that siblings have to work together. You can each come up with your own submission.
Any last minute questions before we can kindergartner participate? Absolutely. In fact, the one that Dr. Balu was pointing out, I think he's one of the younger grade school kid who was recognized. Yeah, definitely we encourage them. So what should be included on the poster graphic that accompanies the video? You want to take that, Kavya? I think
yeah, absolutely. So kind of as mentioned before, there's no specific criteria for what needs to be in the poster versus what needs to be in the video. If you're doing multimedia, we ask that you do have both components, and then both of those components together should address the prompt and that we've listed and the criteria for video size, and then your PDF or your poster should be within like 1-page PDF. So however you choose to emphasize the poster versus the video, that's up to you.
Okay, And there's a question, is there a fan separate category? And we do recognize that one also. So there's a question here. So if you could, at the end, summarize the topics of today's meeting, that will be helpful since I joined late. No problem. Actually, we would be sharing the recording. And like I mentioned, the information is also available on the website. So between the two, I'm sure you'll be able to get the information. And regarding fan favorite, Savita clarified, it's actually a separate category. The top scoring videos will be posted for general public to vote on. So that's the category. So that's more clarification on that one. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thanks a lot for everyone to attending the information sessions. Get your creative juices flowing, and all the very best. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to email panacea@northshore.org.